Hi, everybody. Amanda Rae here from 17 Hats, and I am chatting with Tanya Smith today. Welcome.
Hi, Amanda.
Thank you for being on with me. I'm so excited to talk with you and kind of go over your business. First off, give me a little bit about your business. What do you do?
Thank you for having me. I am a woman's portrait photographer. I'm in Ontario, Canada, and I specialize in boudoir. So I've been doing that since, 2011, over 10 years now. Um, and I've started teaching other boudoir photographers and portrait photographers how to run their business. So I teach sales and marketing and pricing and all that kind of stuff. So I'm doing both. I have two hats right now, two jobs.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's so important. I feel like as you become, a successful photographer and like learn how to run a business to share that and kind of push that forward and give that forward. And it not only helps you as like a second little side income, but it also, I feel like helps grow the industry as well.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I found, it was 2011 when I started, but there wasn't much out there. Like I couldn't find, I was duct taping little free videos and downloads, and I couldn't find information that I was willing to pay for it. Someone
Yeah.
teach me how to do this. And it was really difficult. And a lot of people were secretive about what they did. And I feel like, there's so much work to go around, even in the same town, in the same building. There's photographers in the same building that I've mentored. People are going to pick you based on you.
That's
So
right.
if I can, help other photographers learn how to do this business so that they don't burn out and quit, I love doing that.
That's awesome. And I think that you bring up such a strong point. People pick you because of you, right?
Yeah.
When I was a photographer in my past life, and I met with an old gentleman, an older photographer. Gosh, he was like in his 80s when I met with him one day. And he gave me, I think, the best advice that that any person has ever given me. And he said, people will hire you because they like you, not because your pictures are amazing.
Yeah.
And at first I
So
was
true.
like, what? Because I was still in that mode of like, I have to have the best equipment and I have to have the best lighting. And I could never really take myself seriously until I had these things.
Yeah.
And when he told me that, it was like a click,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I'm making excuses of I have to have the best equipment and I have to have the best
Yes.
lightings. And these are all like excuses because I personally didn't feel good enough,
Yeah.
not that I wasn't good enough. Have you like talked to me
Oh,
about that and like people, hiring you because of you and what you offer?
yeah. And it's so funny that you mentioned that thing about an excuse, because it is so it's something I had all my own excuses as to, I can't charge yet because I haven't been doing it long enough. I haven't had enough clients. I'm not in a big city, like all these reasons. And now that I'm teaching other photographers, there's so many more reasons. And, the other photographer down the road is charging less than me. How can I charge more? One photographer said that my lighting wasn't good enough. And, all these reasons why people think they can't be legit or they can't start charging yet. And it's just, it's funny now because I'm looking in at all of these excuses. So it's one of those things that I bust through when I'm helping other photographers, but it's amazing. It's constant. There's so many things that we think we need to do or figure out before we can actually become a legitimate business. And it's just not true. And I use the example of a restaurant. If you have a new restaurant opening in your city, they don't say, hey, we're open, but for the first 8 months, you can come in and eat for free because we're just getting started, It just
Who
doesn't
does
happen.
that? Nobody does that.
Right. It's a restaurant, it's opening. So yeah, I try to use that comparison, but I
That is
think
a great
that's,
one.
yeah, because it doesn't happen. It's a new business. Any new business, you start correctly, you figure your numbers and you start charging. So we get in our own heads. And I think that's probably because we're more creative. And I think
Yeah.
our brains aren't as structured for business, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's one of those things. There's so many reasons, but it's also mostly because it's scary to charge and ask for money from people, and to
Yeah.
accept money too. It's a hard thing. So these are all, mindset things that I think all entrepreneurs have to go through and have to. I don't think you ever beat them, but I think if you become aware of them, then you can sort of stop them as they happen. or
100%. I
try
think
to.
when you take that, for many, photography is kind of a passion,
Mm,
something that you do, and it's something that you love and you can go out and you can play with. But when you start to accept that first piece of money, there you put this like expectation on yourself, right? So
yeah.
this expectation weighs on your shoulders, and you're looking at it all very differently,
Yeah.
when really you should have probably been charging money all the time. You just need to go and do the same thing that you're doing and improve upon it. So let's
Yeah.
talk
And I
about,
think there's also that guilt because I love doing this. This is
yes.
enjoyable. How can you ask for money when it's not even work? It doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
There's that too, right?
Yeah. I do think there is that switch, like that, you do have to switch a thing in your head. This was a hobby. It was a passion. It was something I did for fun. I'm
Right.
taking it on as a business. There is that little bit of switch in your head of
Yeah.
what does that mean? What does that mean to you? How do I go about this? I'm actually want to make money from it. So
Hmm.
that business sided personality does really have to come out,
Yes. And
which
that's
is
a work in
scary.
progress, right? You have to
This.
keep working on it. Yeah.
So work in progress. I think that's a important point to go to next. Let's talk about your journey a little bit. Everybody has, I've always said, running a business is a mountainous journey. You have high highs, you have low lows.
Yes.
And just because you have a high today doesn't mean you're not going to have a low tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is a process, this is a journey. And while everybody can give you a ton of information, you still got to go on the journey on your own,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yeah.
have to take all of that stuff in. So going back from when you just started, so were you doing photography as a passion? Was it like, take me to those very first days?
I was a painter, like art. I was
Yeah.
painting art. And I was incorporating my camera into some of the work I was doing. So I was doing shows where I was selling my paintings and selling my landscape photography, still life, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's all I was doing. And I was self-taught. I picked up a camera like a lot of people when my eldest was born so that I could take better pictures of them. And it was film before it was digital. So I was not photographing people except for my kids.
Mhm.
And then I went through a not a very fun divorce. Not that there ever is a fun one, but I was going through that. And I did my own boudoir shoot. I needed it. I needed it for me. And everyone was saying how great it makes you feel. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try it. So I booked my own boudoir shoot and it was amazing. And I loved it. And I showed my friends, my girlfriends, and they were like, can you photograph me? I don't photograph people.
Yeah.
Here's her card. Go see her. Um, I don't know if anybody, I don't think anybody did, but this one friend kept bugging me to do it, bugging me. And I was like, okay, I'll try. I've photographed babies, right? My babies,
Yeah.
my kids, my toddlers. So I said, I'll try it. Truly, she's a great friend of mine. She's gorgeous. I thought, how hard could this be? So I did a boudoir shoot with her. I tried to remember what was happening on the other side of the camera, and it was terrible. Her photos were awful. And this is a beautiful woman who I don't know how I did it, but I made her look worse than she does. So she said, I want to see them. And I did not show her. I said, no, they're not, a lot of them were out of
Yeah.
focus. My camera settings were wrong. This is what I said. I didn't want to show her. That's fine. So I thought, okay, I'm not a person who takes photos of people.
Mhm.
This is another thing. See, another excuse. I tried it
Yeah.
once, I'm give up. And it was weeks later that I pulled them up again. I was clearing my hard drive and I looked at them and I thought, okay, I looked at them from a different, step back. And I thought, you know what? This one is almost good. Maybe if I stepped over here to the right, this would have looked good. So I said to her, let's try it again. So we did it again.
Okay, let's stop right there. I'm just
Yeah.
going to stop the story because I
Yes.
think that this is so important that everybody should be doing after every shoot, right? Is looking at your photos and saying, how can I make this 1%
Yes.
better?
And
Right?
stepping away from them for a bit.
Stepping away.
Yeah.
How can I make this 1% better? What if my
Yep.
camera angle just changed a little bit? What if my
Tiny
lighting is
bit.
a little bit? So like, if you can think of it, how can I make it 1% better every time, or just a little bit percent better every time?
Mm-hmm.
Man, where are you going to be in
Yeah.
just 6 months or 2 years?
And also on the other side of that, how many times have you done a shoot and you're like, this sucked? This is a terrible shoot.
And you're done.
Step away from that and come back and look at it. And you're like, oh, actually, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought. So I think stepping away helps a lot, especially when you're editing too, to just
Oh,
leave and come back.
100%. Stepping away, getting a new perspective on it, giving your brain a rest.
Yes.
But just that reevaluation, I think, is so important, and the persistence of it, right?
Yes.
So you didn't stop. You pushed through. You probably looked at those images, what you were super excited about. You looked at the images and your excitement level went down.
Yep.
And most people will stop right there.
Right.
They never
Because it's
bounce
hard.
back because it's hard.
Yeah.
And so to be able to go, okay, I'm going to pull up my big girl and take the next step and push through that hardness, that difficulties, is actually what creates strength.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh my gosh. And I say that all the time. Running a business is not simple, but it's very hard, but also it's easy. Like what you have to do is just keep going, even when especially when it gets hard.
That is why I use the term mountainous. It is, you have your hard and then you go up. It is a path of growth.
Yep.
Right. Running a business is a path of growth. And in order to have growth, you have to have the hard and you have to have the high.
Yep. And you learn a ton about yourself, being an entrepreneur, and you grow so much as a person too, not just as a business person. And you learn that you can do hard things, right? A lot of things are hard, but you can still do them just because they're hard.
That's such an important lesson, I think, just in life in general. So you brought her back in. What happened?
Yes. So we brought her back in and I slowed down because I'd be like, oh, this is exciting. And look how great she looks, and click, click, click all over the place. So this time I slowed down and I paid attention and I looked at the angles and I made sure there wasn't something, coming at the back of her head in the background, that kind of stuff. And when I looked at the photos again, they still sucked, but they weren't as bad as before. And I showed them and she loved them. She cried when she saw them.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so that was the first time I was like, wow, this is really something. This is why Boudoir has my heart, because it really changes the way a woman sees herself. It really does. Yeah. So that's how I got started in Boudoir. And people say, how do you learn how to pose? How do you learn? My best advice, like we were just saying, shoot, just do it. Just keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. And you learn what you want to, how you want to shoot, and you get your style.
So I love the fact that you brought her back in. I'm going to reiterate that a little bit. Like there wasn't, a lot of people, our ego kind of gets in the way and we can't admit that, oh, this wasn't necessarily my best. Let's try this again. And I think when you're learning to shoot on the same person twice with that same body type, that's a huge learning opportunity there for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wouldn't recommend someone to charge clients before they're ready and comfortable in guiding people. But 100%. If you have a friend or something that you can bring in and like try different times and be like, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, let's try something else. Yeah. But it's a great way to learn.
I also loved there's so many nuggets in this conversation, and we're only just a few minutes in. But I also loved how the next time you got behind the camera, your perspective shift, right? And I think all photographers, myself included, when we very first get going, it's like click, 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 and this is so amazing, and this is awesome, and this is feeling great, and you just, you can have that high shutter, and you just go.
Yeah.
Right? But when you can stop and breathe between each click, and that was actually one of my kind of rules when I did photography. I had to make sure that I stopped and I really took a breath and reset between poses so that I would not let the excitement just like overtake. And so when you can approach the back of the camera and really look through it and make, insightful decisions based on the composition, you're no longer a photographer, you're an artist.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And I find that it's all you have to do is go through one cull session where you're culling through 800 photos to go, next time,
Yeah.
I don't need to see 800 photos because it takes forever. Right. And it's all about the workflow too.
Yep.
You know, and you don't have to get it perfect in camera. You know, we have Photoshop, use the tools you have. But, you know, when people say it's fine, I'll fix it in Photoshop, I'm just like, get it right.
Cringe.
Yes. Get it, like, try to get it right. And not in a snobby, I'm looking down on you kind of way. You need to get everything perfect. It's okay if your exposure, you didn't nail it. And I know people are going to be like, ooh, but we can adjust that very easily.
Right.
If you've got her expression correct and you're in the right angle that's flattering to the client, then you're good to go. But if you're snapping away and you know, for me, a label showing, a bra strap is twisted, right, there's a plant coming, my big thing is stuff coming out of people's head, you know, where they put their feet up behind them and then it looks like they have like ears.
Little bunny ears.
Yeah. So like those things, that's a slow down and pay attention to what's happening behind your client.
That is the difference between somebody just doing this as a hobby versus somebody who's doing this professionally, right? That is those things, those small details is why you know, one of the many reasons why you can charge more and different things like that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, going back to the, I can fix this in Photoshop. I remember the time where I even said that. And then I was like, what am I doing? I got to the point that I was so busy in my business that you don't have time to fix that in Photoshop.
No, you don't want to be editing everything.
Yeah, you're wasting time. You know, it was a part, I mean, back when I did it, my first year or so of doing photography, it was a part of not knowing, but it was also a part of like my business. I wasn't busy enough, so I had time to do it. So I would just do it, right?
Right.
And then when my business got too busy, I didn't have time to do it. So I had to start cutting a bunch of those silly, I wouldn't say silly, but those tasks that I'm like, why am I doing this? Right. Yeah. So I was running out of time. And this is something I think where 17 Hats comes in and helps business owners a lot, right? Is saving that time and allowing you to really get that time back in your day. So as you started going and as you started picking up your business and started getting more clients, I'm sure you had to find ways to cut time.
Yeah. So one of the things I always tell when people are starting out on any portrait business, because I don't teach wedding or commercial or anything, I always tell them to get a CRM because I waited because I can do it myself. I'm not going to spend money on a CRM. How hard is it to print up an invoice, right?
Do it.
And yeah, I can do it. I'm not going to spend money on that. That's not hard stuff. But honestly, as soon as you get, I don't know, 5 clients and 3 inquiries, you will drop the ball and you will, because I'm excited. I have a shoot tomorrow. That's awesome. And then someone messages me about a shoot, an inquiry. I'll get back to them. I forgot I'm on a shoot and it's 3 days. Well, it's done now.
Yeah. So, so instant gratification. If you don't get back to them right away.
Yeah. And rightly so. Rightly so. Even just an acknowledgement. I got your inquiry. Right. So I was dropping the ball all over the place and I know I lost clients. And it was also just the littlest things like, okay, where am I? I have a shoot coming up. This person I already shot and I'm editing. 2 people inquired. Did I send them an email? I can't remember if I answered their email. So I was spending all this time trying to see where I was with all these people. And honestly, it's like 3 or 4, 5 people, it starts getting messy. So I found 17 Hats and I looked into them and I looked into a couple, looked into probably 3. And honestly, 17 Hats was the 2 things truly was the ease. It was way easier. There was one I was looking at and I was so confused. I had to get on a phone call for an hour for somebody to walk me through just how to use it. And I'm like, that's already too complicated. It was the ease of use and it was the customer service. And it's still, and that was, how long have I been with you? 2012?
Oh gosh, it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was since then. And now customer service is fast. It's helpful. All those years, you know, sometimes they start off and companies are great with customer service and it falls. It's amazing. And that to me is very important. But once I got 17 Hats set up, and not going to lie, setting it all up is a lot, but any CRM would be like that, right? You got to get your contracts and your questionnaires and you have to get all of that stuff.
You have to know your process.
Yes. Right? You have to know your workflow. That's one of the things I teach actually is the workflow of when someone inquires, if they book, if they don't, right? All of that. But once you have that, oh my goodness, it is so much easier. And to get a little ping on my phone that I've got an inquiry, I'm like, yes, it's so much easier just to see what I need to do every day.
So before you had 17 hats, how were you invoicing?
I was doing it in what was it, a Word document, a Word template? Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
And
Isn't that crazy?
and I was printing them up physically and having the client sign the contract and giving them their invoice and writing notes on the back of their, it was chaos. Actually, I was
Yes.
cleaning up my studio files and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to do this.
That's so crazy. But I mean, if you go back in that process, that was probably per invoice would probably take you what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah, even if it took 2 minutes, it's
Yeah.
still, then I had to print it up. Now I have to hold on to it. What am I doing with it? Now
You
I have
have
to
like
figure out
mental stress.
a filing system for it. And did I give them the invoice? Did they pay it?
We're able to take all of that mental stress and all of those to-dos around that invoice, and then you were able to build it in 17 hats and shoot it out. So it's taking,
It's amazing. Yeah.
less than a minute with no mental stress, and you remove all of that. So that's amazing that you can, we're just going back and talking about kind of buying back time,
Yep.
not editing. That is one way to buy back time, looking in camera and fixing stuff in camera. That's one way of buying back time. Using something like 17 hats for invoices is a way of buying back time in your day. What are some other ways that you think people getting into business can buy back some time in their day?
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest thing, that's the only thing we can't get back, right, is time. We've heard all of those cute little sayings and stuff, but it's true. And what I try to talk about is when you are, well, a business person, actually, an entrepreneur, but say a photographer, and you want to get bookings. So what used to happen was I would be super busy with shoots and editing. And then I'd pick my head up because I'm finally finished my shoots and now I have nobody on the books. So then I'd put my head back down and I'd market. So it was cyclical. And I want it to be constant. So when you have something in place that I use 17 hats, but something in place that keeps everything organized. So all I have to do is I go in every day. I look and see what are my to-dos, do that, send out this contract, send out this invoice, finalize this questionnaire, whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
No matter how many different things there are, I know what I have to do. I do them all. Some days it takes me half a minute. Other days it takes me, an hour, depending on what I have to do. But when that's taken care of, that saves so much time just trying to figure out where you are every day and figure out what you need to do. But when you save time in any area, editing, outsourcing anything, you have time to keep your marketing consistent so that every day you are marketing, every day you are, keeping the pipeline full so that you have your shoots, which is why I tell people to charge more so they don't have to shoot as much.
Shoot more. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can outsource your editing, which is a very, very big step for people to do, but it's a huge time saver. But one of the other biggest time savers that I found was scheduling, online scheduling, because how one person, even just you and I figuring out this time, I mean, it was pretty easy for us, but sometimes it's what day works for you. How about this date? Nope. How about this one? How about this? How about that? Then you finally find a day and then you go back and forth with times. That is so much time. And when I automated, and did the online scheduling, oh man, here's a link. Find what works for you.
Yeah.
The end.
And if you're doing that, I always found if you're trying to do scheduling and you're trying to schedule 5 clients at one time, then you're like, oh, what did I tell this person? And then you got to go back and reread the emails and figure.
Yep.
It's just a mess.
And I use the scheduling for my hair and makeup artists as well. And my assistant. So they're users in 17 hats and they have their calendar and we sync all our calendars together. So they immediately know when someone's booked a shoot. So my hair and makeup artist is available and she blocks off time. It saves more time than having someone edit, if you can believe it, is just the scheduling part.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think that's the online scheduling is a really good tip to save time because it just does. And you can set everything up and, it's going to run for you and you don't forget things. You don't drop the ball. You're not mentally stressed about it. And then it's a more pleasant experience for them as
Oh, for the
well.
client too. Oh, yes. Yeah. They can take
But
their time and look at their own calendar, see what I have available. Yeah.
mhm, yeah. So, I mean, that's amazing. Payment plans. Do you use payment plans at all?
Yes, I do. So I schedule, I have payment plans and I just set them up to go every 2 weeks, and 17 Hats automatically sends an invoice reminder and I don't do anything.
That's another thing, because I mean, when you're in business, I feel like one of the most stressful things is being like, hey, you haven't paid me. Can you pay me, please? Because I need the
Yep.
money. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it takes off that. I know as solopreneurs, we have a hard time talking to our clients about money because of a lot
Yep.
of our own self-worth issues, right?
Yep.
And so by using something like payment plans, it not only saves you time, but it also just takes off the mental stress.
Yeah, it does. And it's something you just don't have to worry about anymore.
It's so nice. So
Yeah,
nice.
it
There's
is.
that's some great tips on saving time. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Um, as a small business owner wanting to get started and to get their business moving, if we have a hobbyist listening right now that's going, I want to take the plunge.
Mm.
I want to start treating this as a business and moving forward and really make a go out of it. What's some advice that you would give?
Honestly, look into a CRM. That's the one thing that I would have done, is set it up before I started, because it was it was hectic to do it at the time. I did it when I needed it, which meant I was already too busy and I should have got it before.
Yeah.
So definitely look into a CRM. For shooting, just shoot. How do you get better at shooting? You get better at shooting by shooting. That would be another thing. And also ease off on the gear. You don't need it. You don't need it when you start off. You don't need a better camera. You don't need more light. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need to shoot more. And then you will learn what you need and what you want and what you prefer and how you shoot, for sure.
Absolutely.
And then the biggest thing is, like I said, just keep moving forward, keep going. It's going to be hard, especially that first year. It's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of disappointments, but just keep going, because it's pretty awesome
Mountainous.
when you get it.
It's mountainous. Yeah,
Yep.
I think that is such great advice. And if I can add one thing to that, it's approach everything that you just said with confidence, right?
Yes.
It
Yep.
just, that whole waking up in the morning and saying, I will do this, and this,
Yep.
this vision, this dream I have will become mine one day.
Yep.
And to approach, each high with, that idea, and each low with that idea,
Yep.
and push through it all, I think is so important.
Yeah. And I had that moment, it was years in. And I remember I was just so overwhelmed and there was so much going on. And I didn't have a lot of processes in place where I knew what to do. And I remember just saying to my husband, like, this is so hard. Like, I don't even know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can be like a professional photographer. And he's like, Tanya, you already are. You're already doing it. And I was like, that's true. So I think another thing is, look at where you were a year ago or 8 months ago or 3 years ago, and tell that person, where you are today. Cause yeah, you probably are pretty far further than you think. So I think appreciate how far you've come and remind yourself of how far you've come is important as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's an amazing moment to realize, to like get to that milestone that you're trying to get to, and not even realizing that you're there, and
Yeah.
having that other person to be like, you are here. Because we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes that we don't
Yeah.
even realize that we've grown.
Yeah, like look where you are, and I think being appreciative of how far you've come and what you've learned is very helpful as well. And I do that all the time. The big thing for me was a studio when I got my studio. And I remember just, using the key and every morning just coming in and just being like, oh my gosh, this is my space. I can't believe I'm here. It took 5 years to get there, but still I'm still to this day so appreciative when I walk into my studio and just be like, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah. And just appreciate that. Stand in the sun,
Yep,
right? Stand in the sun
absolutely.
and take it in. And I think that's the other thing too, is realize it's not the end, right? If you could do that in, the time period, what are you going to be able to do in another 5 years? And let yourself
Exactly.
dream, right?
Exactly. Yep. And you'll get through the hard thing and then another hard thing will come,
That's
but
right.
you will get through it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking your time out of your day to chat with me a little bit.
Of
I am so
course.
excited. I know that you help solopreneurs photographers get their businesses off the ground? What are some of the courses that you offer?
Oh yeah, that's great. So I have Behind the Boudoir, which is a business course. So that teaches numbers and pricing and sales and marketing and workflow. There's a whole module on workflow, and I actually have a whole walkthrough of my 17 hats in there as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and so there's that big course, and then I also have a marketing membership. It's a monthly membership, and we teach, it's all marketing all the time, so how to get clients and different strategies and ideas, and we have a monthly live call with that. And then I have lots of guides and downloads and templates and stuff, and you can find it on my website, Profitable Portraits.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah,
that. If you're interested in 17 Hats, you can go check us out at 17hats.com. Thank you again for spending some time with us today and chatting. And everybody, have a great day.
thanks.